Most discussion of the American novelist William Gaddis centres itself around two moments: the failure of 1955's The Recognitions and the eventual success of the 1975 National Book Award winner J.R. Using this framework, you can plot a neat fall, disappearance and triumphant narrative, tying the author's life into a neat little and more importantly marketable arc. I don't want to start there. It's artificial and it tells us nothing. Alternatively, I don't think it's worth doing the typical YouTube video essay move of starting with an overview of Jonathan Franzen's 2002 New Yorker essay, Mr. Difficult, William Gaddis and the Problem of Hard Books. While this is a great essay, and one which is important in the history of public responses to Gaddis, I think it is worthy of a future episode in and of itself. When an artist believes completely in the transformative power of art existing independently of the art's creator, how then can we begin to talk about them? How can we present an introduction to their art that is accurate to the truth of what their project is? How can we find an adequate answer to the question, who is William Gaddis, and why are they worthy of this project? I'd like to welcome you to Losing Friends, Influencing No One, The Life and Work of William Gaddis, a blog and video series dedicated to the intensive exploration of the work of one of the 20th century's greatest writers. These videos will serve as companion pieces to the much larger investigations taking place on my Substack and Patreon. More about those at the end. In a 21st century world in which there is very little challenging literature being read at all, especially amongst the general public, William Gaddis might be completely off the radar for anyone outside of a graduate school or the esoteric world of online hardcore literature discussion. I know that some viewers will have come here having read some Gaddis and now maybe want to discuss it or learn where to go next. But for now, I have to start from the assumption that a lot of viewers are working from a minimum knowledge base, which is why I'm going to give as brief an overview as I can. William Gaddis was the author of 5 novels, 4 of which were published in his lifetime: The Recognitions, J.R., Carpenter's Gothic, A Frolic of His Own. Another was published posthumously, Agape Agape, and a number of essays have been published, collected together under the title The Rush for Second Place. In literary circles he has been labelled unreadable, pretentious, and obtuse. Gaddis has earned himself a place in the pantheon of so-called difficult literature alongside Proust, Joyce, Pynchon, and David Foster Wallace. Born in 1922, the eye of the maelstrom of the modernist invention, the year of the Wasteland and Ulysses, and 2 years after Beyond the Pleasure Principle, Gaddis feels like a bridging figure between two worlds. The old waspish pre-war flaneurism and the American post-war novelists he at first predicts and subsequently assumes a leading role in the development of. He dies in 1998, by which time the literary world was being rocked by Infinite Jest, Thomas Pynchon's Mason and Dixon, and Roberto Bolaño's The Savage Detectives. It is as though his whole life represents an acceleration in literature which he was a part of and whose downfall he had long seen on the horizon. Fans of William Gass, John Barth, Donald Barthelme, Robert Coover, and to some extent Kurt Vonnegut and William Burroughs will find themselves at home here. Over the course of this journey, we will be exploring a world of deep, mystical, religious esoterica and outrageous satire. We will take on the clown show of American Christianity, as well as its legalese and free market devotion. And we will ask whether real art can be produced in the age of mass-produced capitalism. As we explore each chapter, each character, each intertextual reference, and every wild digression, I hope to do justice to the work of a novelist whose writing has affected me deeply, and I believe still has much to offer as we continue through a 21st century that feels like J.R. grew up and only continued his reckless crusade. Gaddis in the Recognitions, and later in an interview with Zoltan Abardin-Ege, asks, "What's any artist but the dregs of his work?" What I want to make abundantly clear is that I don't want this channel and this exploration to be a simplistic dredging of those dregs. Something where all I do is read Gaddis's letters and play spot the connection with the things that line up in the work. Gaddis asks us time and time again that we should explore the work of art for what it is on the page. He even went as far as to tell the Dalkey Archive. The question of autobiographical sources in fiction has always seemed to me one of the more tiresome going, usually what amounts simply to gossip and about as reliable. Not that we don't all relish gossip. We are not here to rehash gossip, no matter how much we might relish it. Applying simple answers to texts of this complexity, the way purely biographical readings do, would be an intellectual failure that would render this whole endeavour mute. What I hope to reveal here are the rich and full-bodied tones of a career devoted to finding an art that would transcend the insignificant elements which bind them to the earth. In attempting to elucidate these elements, which may seem opaque and mysterious to the common reader, I am undergoing what can only be described as a devotional act to bring such mysteries to life. This isn't to say that I won't be using any biographical detail at all. Gaddis's collected and published letters form the bedrock of the extended research element of what it is I am trying to accomplish here, and I will be referencing biographical detail to establish the milieu Gaddis is working in, especially in episodes which are leading up towards the novels themselves. I just don't want it to be the main body of the entire project. If you're coming here looking for a simple overview of books that you'd read about on some most difficult books ever list, then this is not for you. But if you want to watch or read about someone losing their mind trying to uncover something significant in the history of the 20th century novel, well, that's what you're in for. In his outstanding piece of writing on the Recognitions, Fire the Bastards from 1962, which I've discussed in greater depth on the Patreon, Jack Green claimed, "Before the mass public, I know of no great novel that was permanently defeated by the enemies of art." I suppose if you asked me to summarise why I have decided to undertake this project, then I would say that it is to cast my lot against the eroding tide of art's enemies. Gaddis has been, in the academic literary world, canonised, and in that sense has been saved from a permanent defeat. And yet I feel as though there is still work to be done. In the internet age, one seems to have produced a whole new economy devoted to stealing our attention. It seems the difficulty of preventing the loss of great literature only grows by the day. Great literary accomplishment which is not and cannot be integrated into the mainstream curriculum, which includes so few novels written after the Second World War, remains in great danger of falling from minds being colonised to bend towards the pleasures of mass culture. It is with this growing anxiety that I will write about Bill Gaddis. If any of these novels shall fall into the hands of the strange and non-conforming, then I wish them well and say Godspeed and good luck. I hope this project will justify itself and serve as a small piece in the furthering of the legacy of art which has affected me on a most profound level. I would like to thank my paid donators on Patreon and Substack, without whom none of this would be possible. If you are still watching, thank you, and remember to like, comment and subscribe, and share to your heart's content. Bonus essays are available to all paid subscribers if that is something you'd be interested in. It supports me a great deal. Thank you, and I can't wait to speak to you all again soon.